Hey guys, what's up, what's up? Welcome to Game 4 of the rematch between Chigorin and Steinitz. Game 3 was a draw, didn't show that one. Nothing too exciting happening there. But this game is actually one of the most famous games that Steinitz has ever played. So I want to go over it. I want to go over a few moments from this game. So first, in this position, you guys don't need to pause your video or anything here. I'm just kind of showing what Steinitz did. The normal move, of course, would be to just castle. Completely standard thing to do. However, let me turn my sound down. However, Steinitz had this idea of playing h4, and he did this a few times against Zuckertort also. I feel like he's kind of the guy who invented this idea where you just go h4, h5, and you leave your king in the center, or maybe castle queenside in this type of position. Steinitz liked to play this way, and this was one of his, contributions to chess that really took off. Like, some of the weird things you saw him do in the last match were just weird, and nobody ever emulated them. This one makes sense, though. So black played knight e7, because black wanted to fight in the center with d5, while white plays in the wing. So white went h5, black went d5, white captured on g6. So first question, what recapture should you make for black here? H takes g6, or f takes g6? Pause your video, make your decision. Okay, so this is a mistake I made when I was younger, and a decent number of people make, is that they take with the f-pawn, they overvalue this active rook. Whereas they also like the fact that this h-file is not completely open for the rook. Like, now there's a pawn at least in the way. However, the pawn structure, now that we have two pawn islands instead of one, it usually makes a big difference. H takes is generally the best move here, and usually the king's safer than it looks in these types of positions. Like, even if the queen gets to h2, imagine that, we can play the move rook to e8, and there's no checkmate. At least not right away. So it's not quite as dangerous as it looks, and that's what Chigorin should have done, in my humble opinion. He took with the f-pawn, though, and this gave white some nice play. After pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes, and what should white do here? Bishop to b3, and that bishop is aiming right at the king. And in my opinion, white already has a really nice initiative. So black played queen to c6, white went queen to e2, also attacking the e-pawn, by the way. Bishop to d7 was played, and now white didn't take this, most likely because of queen takes g2. White simply developed his pieces with bishop to e3. He's not worried about giving black counterplay here. King h8, and now castles queenside. Now his king is safe, both of his rooks are ready to attack this weak square, and white is looking pretty nice. This open f-file is not so helpful. It would help a lot if his pawn was back on f7, his king was on g8, and that this knight was not, like, pinned earlier by this bishop. Black played rook a to e8, and now white made an interesting move. Queen to f1. There's two ideas behind this move. Number one, he's getting the queen off the same file as the rook. Number two, he's maybe swinging the queen around to attack. Black responded with a5, which makes a lot of sense because now black is planning a4 and a3, and if the white pawn takes, then the black queen could take on c3. So now I want you guys to figure out what move you would play here for white. Pause your video and try to work it out. Alright, so the key to the position is you should be looking for tactical patterns here. And there's one key one, and I'm going to show it. After d4, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes. This knight on e6 can never move. Can you guys see why? What happens to black here? You're right. Rook takes h7. I'm saying you're right because I know you all got it right because you're all tactical wizards. King takes, queen h1, and the king is being checkmated. So the point here is this knight cannot move. And because of that, d4 was a very strong move because white's threatening a few things here. Number one, he's threatening d5, just winning a piece. And so black stops that with pawn takes pawn, and now after knight takes, the knight can't even take back. And so white's getting a huge amount of time in the black position. Black played bishop takes d4. And now See, now if bishop takes, knight takes is possible. Because after rook h7, queen h1, there's no more queen h6 checkmate type moves. So after bishop takes d4, white played another very beautiful move. Rook takes d4. And black in this position should have simply played rook e7, and white is better. White has a really nice attack. The black king is wide open. A clear advantage for white with a huge attack. But black is still in the game. Black does not have to resign. However, Chigorin played knight takes d4. And can you figure out what Steinitz played here? Pause your video, try to figure it out. And this is the final blow that made the game so famous. Steinitz played rook takes h7. And after king takes, queen h1. And there's just a beautiful mating pattern here. King g7, and now he played the best move, bishop to h6. So the king cannot come back to the h-file, because this leads to discovered checkmate, as the bishop's defending g8. He went king f6. And now, after queen h4, his king is just caught in the crossfire. If g5, queen g5 is checkmate. If king f5, queen f4 is checkmate. And if king e5, which was played in the game, queen takes d4, and black resigned because after king f5, queen f4 is mate, but it's always cooler to checkmate with a pawn, and white could have played g4, checkmate. And so with this win, Steinitz tied the match up 1-1. And it's really cool. The first two wins by both players are like really famous attacking games. Game 1 and now Game 4. What did we learn from this game? Well, a few historical notes. We learned about this move h4 in the opening. So this move h4 with the idea of h5 is a very typical attacking idea that Steinitz liked to use and that a lot of people do today. The second thing we learn, which is really important, is be very careful taking with a pawn like this, especially when it's going to open up this bishop. This bishop, which doesn't look so good right now, is kind of just defending, all of a sudden becomes a monster after bishop to b3. So these are two just like very common positional ideas that are important to understand. And the rest of the game was just white taking advantage of some nice tactical shots to put black away, and black kind of overlooking them and not defending quite as tenaciously as he could have. But overall, a very beautiful game, one of Steinitz's most famous games, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.